Oh my god, why do these exist? Hatred, released on June 1st, 2015, is a game all about hating everything, more specifically innocent humans. The main objective in the game is to run around town killing as many cops and defenseless civilians as possible. Why? Well, simply because your character hates the world and everyone in it. Hatred's just horrible concept was developed into a fully fledged modern video game by Destructive Creations using leading game development software like the Unreal Engine 4 and NVIDIA PhysX. The game was posted to Steam's Greenlight service where users could vote for it to be published on the online market, but it was quickly removed for being way too violent. Violence, no, downvote. But the next day the game was brought back onto Greenlight with an apology of all things, and believe it or not, it went on to become the most voted game on the service. After its release, critics agreed that beyond the shocking premise, the game was just overall boring, bland, and not fun. Grand Theft Auto 3, released on October 22nd, 2001, was a major revolution to the gaming industry and brought the GTA series into the 3D realm with an entire city to drive around and commit crimes in. The nature of the GTA games is to do the dirty work of higher ranking criminals, and whether that be theft, assault, or murder, it's already offensive enough. But what's worse was in the options available to players who wandered around the fictional city. This was the first game to introduce the solicitation of prostitutes whom you could kill to retrieve the money that you gave them. Not to mention the new 3D graphics made the senseless murder of innocent pedestrians all the more violent looking. The inclusion of the gratuitous sex and violence got the game banned in Australia until a modified version could be re-released, and it still offended almost every parent whose kid got their hands on a copy. When Modern Warfare 2 was released on November 10th, 2009, it became known for something not nice. During the single-player campaign on Mission 4, you take the role of undercover CIA agent Joseph Allen, who has infiltrated the team of an infamous Russian terrorist named Vladimir Makarov. The level starts out with you in an elevator with a heavily armed and armored Makarov and 3 others. At one point, he turns to you to remind everyone, no Russian. And then you calmly step out into a packed airport security waiting line in Moscow and unleash a storm of bullets into the crowd. Okay, Call of Duty is known for putting in plot twists and killing off some of the characters as you play during story missions, but no one was prepared for the surprise terrorist genocide. Now, while the attack is important to the story, the fact that you can personally play it out kind of extends things past the line of shocking and enters the deeply offensive zone. It's just too much. Supreme Columbine Massacre RPG is an offensively titled and controversial game created by a man named Danny Ladon in 2005. The game was created with the RPG Maker program and features small 16-bit sprites and graphics, but also includes sections where real images of the perpetrators and the crime scene occur. In the story, you play as both Columbine High School students, Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, as they plan out their assault on the school. The events of the story take the player through the setup and execution of the real events that occurred on April 20th, 1999, as well as flashbacks that lend more explanation to the killer's motives, and then ultimately end up in hell for the final act. Upon release, the game caused a large amount of negative controversy in the media because of its subject matter and its lack of empathy for the victims of the shootings. The game was actually defended by some, but as you would imagine, unsuccessfully. Oh yeah, but it's like historical though, you know, because they got like the guns and stuff. It's just, yeah, that's not a good argument. Released on November 22, 2004 by Traffic Software, Reloaded's stated intention is to act as a historical simulator, which makes it sound somewhat reasonable until you play it. Players take the perspective of Lee Harvey Oswald aiming down the sights of your sniper rifle as you try to pick off the president who is rounding the street corner in his motorcade. Holy offensive! Firing on him produces some gruesomely accurate results of JFK's real injuries, as well as the reactions of those around him. But it gets worse, because at the end of each assassination, players will actually view a replay of their historical recreation, and then they'll be scored on how accurate their shots were compared to the actual event. If you get bored of trying to get a perfect score, you can always enable an option in the settings that causes NPCs to act erratically and drive into walls and each other, launching everyone from their car seats. Custers Revenge, released on September 23, 1982, was created by the adult video game development company Mystique for the Atari 2600. This might be the earliest offensive game. In the game, you control Custer, a naked man with a cavalry hat, a bandana, and a massive... As Custer, you must run back and forth to avoid an onslaught of arrows and reach a Native American woman, also naked, tied to a pole on the other side of the screen. Reaching the woman allows you to engage in what appears to be a forcible sex act, which raises your score. Offended yet? Well, not only was the game needlessly lewd, but also extremely racist and had players sexually assault a defenseless character repeatedly. This game offended everyone in the 80s, including Atari itself, who tried to sue the game developers for ever putting the abomination on their console. But ultimately, the controversy and media attention ended up actually helping the game's sales. Well, I guess all publicity's good publicity when you've got a giant pixelated wang running across the screen. The objective of the adult video game BoneTown, released in 2008 for the PC, is to have sex with all the women in the town. Developed by D-Dub Software, BoneTown allows you to play as different men as you run around and propose sexual encounters with different women. And now for the really offensive part. When you first start, you're limited to encounters with only overweight females, who will immediately drop anything that they're doing to get with you, and the skinnier and more attractive females need to be unlocked in some fashion. These women can be approached after certain mission objectives are completed, like beating up the gangs of African pygmies that are sexually assaulting them, or completing goals for other racist and stereotypical portrayals of people. Oh, but Matt, how do I get a power-up? Let me tell you. All you gotta do is hire a prostitute, or perhaps use some recreational drugs to help increase your life bar. Yeah, just like real life. It's wonderful. It's not offensive at all. 177, released in 1986 by Macadamia Software in Japan, is a horrible retro game where you need to chase down an attractive girl in order to tear off her clothes and have sex with her in a very non-consensual way. 177 in Japan is actually the police code for rape, if that's any indication of how messed up this game is. You play as a man running after the girl as you hop and jump over different obstacles that can slow you down. If you get close to the girl, you can throw things at her to slow her down, and if you catch up with her, you can rip off her clothes until she has nothing on. I feel so weirded out right now. It's creepy. And if you catch up with her after all that, the game switches to a different scene where some absolutely terrible stuff happens, which I'd rather not mention in this video. If you're a sick person and manage to stick with the game and avoid getting arrested until its finale, you end up marrying the girl, because that's obviously how romance works. Right? With a title like Playing History 2 Slave Trade, it's a little surprising to know that this was actually marketed as an educational game for kids. Now, aside from the disturbing mental images of teachers asking, "Anyone up for a round of slave trade?" the mostly disturbing part is that this subject would even be made into a playable adventure for children. Developed by Serious Games Interactive and launched in September of 2013, Slave Trade places you as a young slave on a ship in the 18th century. Kids playing the point-and-click adventure game are given objectives by their slave master, who constantly berates them. During their adventure, they'll witness the horrible conditions that slave ships provided for their unfortunate passengers, as well as the horrible treatment that went along with it. And if your kids get tired of completing orders for their angry white master, they can always play a round of Slave Tetris. You can't make this up. And now for the most enraging game of them all, Ethnic Cleansing, the game that was created for the PC by the white supremacist developer National Alliance in 2002. In Ethnic Cleansing, oh man, this is so bad, you'll play as either a KKK member or a neo-Nazi in the middle of a race war with African Americans, Latinos, and Jewish people. In the first-person shooter, you'll start off in the ghetto of an unidentified American city where you'll have to shoot its African American and Latino residents. After that, you'll enter a subway where all the Jewish citizens are commonly found, apparently. Then you'll find the Yiddish Control Center, which houses the final boss and former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. This stupid game is chock full of the most offensive racist things that you could possibly think of, like monkey sound effects and anti-Semitic symbols and sombreros, which can be racist even though they're just hats. If you see any copies of this game, just destroy it, because it's bad. I just launched a brand new limited edition t-shirt that's only available for 2 weeks until June 5th. And once they're gone forever. So get it now before it sells out by clicking that little eye on your screen or the link under this video. And don't forget, I'll have a brand new video for you tomorrow at 3 Eastern Standard Time, so come by then. Have a fantastic day.